All right, and we are live. I have here Jacob, who is my moderator here on the channel, and we are going to go over each of the games, and then we're going to take it all the way to the Super Bowl, and I'm going to school him. So as we've both agreed, this is a very odd bracket. If anyone comes in here, let us know in the chat that I sound okay. So we're going to go over this. This is the first thing that I wanted to point out. This is the weirdest bracket that I have seen before, and that is because the wild card teams are all better than the division winners, in my opinion. I have never seen such a weak crop of division winners. I don't think any of these division winners are good except for Philadelphia, who obviously is very inconsistent. But Carolina's not good. Chicago's not good. Denver, Seattle, I'm sorry, they're the weakest number one seeds I've ever seen. New England is inexperienced. I don't trust them. Jacksonville, I don't trust them. Pittsburgh, I don't trust them. The only team that I think is good, the only division winner is Philadelphia, and they are very inconsistent. And I think San Fran has a very strong chance of upsetting them. But we will get to that. We're going to start with the first game. Rams at Carolina. I think this one's pretty easy. I think the Rams rout Carolina. And what do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I think this is the easiest game to predict. I really don't think it's going to be that close. I know the Panthers beat the Rams in the regular season. I think that's very irrelevant. The Rams have top 5 offense, and the Panthers are like 29 overall for passing offense. Yeah, Rams are number 2 overall for passing offense. It's not even going to be close. It was a fluky game. I think Stafford had like 3 turnovers that game. It's not going to be close. I really don't think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty lackluster game. Okay, now on to the second game, the night game. Green Bay at Chicago. I mean, it could go either way because here's the thing. Not only is Chicago not good for that division, Green Bay's not very good either. So I really don't know who's going to win. I just think that whoever does win goes to the next round, they're likely going to lose. But I think I'm actually going to say Green Bay pulls this off because I don't trust Chicago. And if they do win, so be it. They're going to lose in the next round. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength with you on this one too. Green Bay beat them once, Chicago beat them the other time. Both games came down to the wire. Green Bay really choked away the second time when they lost. I think Jordan Love he does have a little more playoff experience. He really he's never had a bad playoff performance. You probably remember, he put a whooping on the Cowboys that one year in the playoffs. And then last year they played the Eagles pretty tough.
Yeah.
So in the first round against the Bears, who don't have a great defense either, I think the Packers win in a close game, but I'm a little more confident in them to win this game. After that, I don't think it matters because I think both teams lose the next round anyway.
Yep. Next game, and this is who do you got? Buffalo at Jacksonville.
This is going to be a lot of fun. If this game was in Buffalo, I'd probably take the Bills. I know Josh Allen certainly has the ability to take over this game and win it, but I'm going with the Jaguars here. They have out of all the playoff teams, they actually have the top-rated run defense, which is interesting because the Bills, out of all the playoff teams, have the number one, actually in the entire league, the number one rushing offense. So it'll be very interesting, but the Jags team a little more well-rounded, and I'm just highly concerned with a lot of the inconsistency on the Bills' play this year. So I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this one.
I'm going with the Bills. I'm sorry, I don't trust the Jaguars. I think that division's weak. I think Houston is better than Jacksonville. We'll get to them later, but the division is weak, but the Colts did look good the first half of the year with Daniel Jones. Once he went down, they went down. But I'm sorry, I mean, I live in Florida. So if Jacksonville wins, I mean, that's cool. But I'm sorry, I just don't trust them. They're just way too inconsistent. And Buffalo is that team who still has its Super Bowl window open and who was a top team to be, predicted to go to the Super Bowl. If say Kansas City or Baltimore didn't make it, one of those three were predicted to go from the AFC. So I think Buffalo is going to beat Jacksonville. I don't even think it's going to be that close.
I think it'll be pretty close, but I also think the Bills, I don't know if the pressure is going to matter in this game, but I think the Bills have a lot more pressure to win. With no Mahomes, Burrow, or Lamar in the playoffs, the pressure is on now for this postseason. So not just for this game, but they have a lot of pressure to make it all the way to a Super Bowl. I don't think the pressure is going to crack Josh Allen. He's very good under pressure, so I'm not concerned about that. And I know he can win when he plays Superman ball, when James Cook gets hot, but I really think the Jaguars are a better team. I don't think the Bills are that good either. They had high hopes, but I just don't think they're that good. They've played really up and down this year a lot against some bad teams even.
They're inconsistent for sure. All right, well, we'll see. I don't think the Bills are going to rout them, but I think they'll win by like 14-17. I just think I don't know. I just feel like Jacksonville's going to be deer caught in headlights. I don't know, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't love Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, and he doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. But in the 3 playoff games I think he's played in, 2 or 3 that he's played in, he hasn't. Well, that's not true. There was one game he played where he played like crap, and then he ended up coming back and winning. That was against the Chargers a few years ago in his first playoff appearance. But when he played against the Chiefs, he put up a pretty good fight. So I don't know if he's going to be completely caught off guard with a wild card matchup either. We'll see, though. I'm interested to see how Liam Cohen does as a head coach for the first time in the playoffs. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, that game is Sunday at 1:00. So definitely be interested in that one. All right, here we go. San Fran at Philly. This is the one I'm really, really rooting for San Francisco because I hate Philly. Although I think Philly's the most balanced team in the playoffs, at least talent-wise, but they're just so inconsistent. I don't trust them. But San Fran looked anemic against Seattle. Seattle's not that good. I don't know how Seattle keeps winning these games. They're not that good. Are they?
They do have a top 5 defense.
Actually,
I think their offense is top 8. I mean, they're pretty good.
We saw San Fran, beat Chicago the week prior, and then they couldn't even score a single touchdown against Seattle's defense. And we saw Phillip Rivers nearly beat the Seahawks. In fact, he did beat the Seahawks, but the Seahawks scored on the Colts defense to get that field goal to win the game. So, testament to how good Phillip Rivers still actually is, because he looked better at 45 than Brock Purdy did in his prime. So, what does that say? So San Fran at Philly. Man, do you know who you have?
Yeah, I might have a little bias in here too because I'm not a Philly fan at all. I'm taking the Niners in this one. I'm concerned because their defense is it's been injured all year. It's not nearly as good as the Eagles defense, especially their run defense. And if the Eagles can play it right, they can have a really good running attack. But the Eagles offense has been just nowhere to be found the past second half of the season. So I'm taking the Niners because they've been more consistent the second half of the season. They also have the coaching staff that's won playoff games. They have a lot of playoff experience too. So I just like the way their momentum is going. This one I could honestly see going either way. It's in Philly too, so who knows? But I like the 49ers.
I am torn on this one. I want the Niners, but if they had looked better against Seattle, but not even scoring a single touchdown, that that makes me apprehensive. I'm sorry, Seattle's defense isn't that good. It's in Philadelphia. So they're gonna be at that disadvantage. Well, it doesn't matter because they've got a lot of time. I was gonna say they're in a different time zone, but it's a 4:30 game. So I don't think that'll be a factor. Man, I don't know about this one.
It kind of reminds me of 2 years ago when the Eagles made it to the wild card round and then they got bounced by the Buccaneers that year. And the Buccaneers weren't even like that great that year either. It was a big upset, but they kind of
Right.
fizzled out the second half of the season and then they got bounced because they couldn't put up points in the second half.
Yeah. I think I'm going with the Eagles. Unfortunately, I don't know. I think it's going to be really close. I think they're probably going to get some lucky break. Probably be some controversy, questionable call from the refs or something or other, which that seems every fan base comes up with that. All right. This one is very personal for you.
Very.
You have waited all year for this. Chargers at Patriots. Who do you think? We know who you want. Who do you think will win?
I honestly think the Patriots are going to win this one, and I have some solid reasoning here.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, Patriots passing offense this season, number 4 overall. Defense or rushing offense was number 6 overall. Passing offense number 4 overall. Total offense for points scored number 2 overall in the entire league, and then defense is like 9 overall for points scored against. But what I think it really comes down to is O-line. You cannot survive in the playoffs with an O-line like the Chargers. Not that our O-line is all that great, but the Chargers have clearly the worst rated O-line in the entire league, I could say. I think Herbert's been sacked the most or almost the most times out of any quarterback. You're just not going to make it. It's in New England. We do have the home field advantage there. We're a lot healthier. We have a lot of people coming back from injuries. We rested a lot of people the last couple of weeks. And even though May does not have the experience, he's been playing so well this year, and Vrabel has the experience. McDaniels has a ton of experience as offensive coordinator. And Vrabel even took Ryan Tannehill to AFC championships. So that doesn't really concern me with like the lack of experience on the player side of the ball too much. It'll be nice for them. So I respect the Chargers. I like them a lot. I like Herbert as a quarterback. I love Harbaugh as a coach. But I really do think the Patriots are just top to bottom the best team.
Okay. The Chargers are just so inconsistent, but they have so much potential, so much talent. In New England, I just feel like are inexperienced. And I think I'm going with the Chargers. Don't know. I know the Patriots have had one of the weakest schedules, because one of the softest, because they were one of the worst teams the prior year. And obviously Vrabel and McDaniel are really good coaches, but Harbaugh is really good as well. And I just think that Justin Herbert is due. He's due for a playoff win. Has he won in the playoffs at all yet?
He is not. He's not
Yeah,
even that
he's
experienced in the
due.
playoffs. Like, he had his one playoff appearance
Right.
last year, and he put up an egg against the Texans, and they were the favorites too.
Yeah, he's the one that threw those 4 picks against Jacksonville, right?
It was against the Texans last year in the wild card round.
Didn't he do that against Jacksonville? Or did Trevor Lawrence throw the 4
Trevor
picks?
Lawrence threw the picks, and
Okay.
they still came back and won. But Trevor Lawrence
Right.
threw the
The
picks.
Chargers.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. He
yeah,
he
yeah.
is due because he's lost 2 embarrassing games.
It feels like it. I just need him to prove that he can actually play well in the playoffs. I haven't seen it.
I think he's due, man. I think he's so talented, and I think Harbaugh is so good. I'm going with the Chargers. Um,
I
I
don't think
like
there's much
both
he can
teams.
do behind the offensive line, even if he is due. I just don't think there's. I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna get sacked a bunch of times. I don't think they're gonna be able to run the ball on us that well. Their defense is rated worse than us. I don't know. I don't think they're better in any way.
Well, we will see. That's Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And then the last game in round 1, Houston at Pittsburgh. What do you think?
I see a lot of people picking the Steelers to win this game, and I think this one is not going to be close. I think the Texans are going to curb stop Aaron Rodgers. I really do. The the Steelers have a terrible offense as far as numbers go, rushing and passing. Their defense is much worse than the Texans' defense, which is one of the best, if not the best, in the league. I think they're going to get curb stopped. Stroud showed that he can win games in the playoffs. He's done it before. Yeah, I think it's going to be an embarrassment for the Steelers. One and
Yeah,
out, like usual.
I agree. I don't know what these people are smoking, talking about the Steelers.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't see that. So now I need to go to the bracket. Now we need to figure out the rest. Here we go. Hang on. There we go. So for me, I have, well, for you as well. So let's do Broncos and Texans. I got to tell you, I think Houston beats them.
I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking through this game, so I'm really not sure. I don't know. I know Denver's tough to play in. Denver won it during the regular season. Sometimes a bye week is good. Sometimes it's really bad and it can screw you up. That's happened a lot recently. I've seen a lot of number 1 seeds start off a game terribly after having a bye. I would probably play it safe than take the Broncos in this one. I do like the Texans a lot though, but I would probably go with the home team here, and the Broncos are the home team, so I'd probably take them. But I don't love them as a 1 seed.
I'm going with the Texans. I think this. I don't know. We'll see where I go with this later, but I'm going with the Texans. Next one, I'm going to have Bills versus the Chargers, but you are going to have Jags versus the Patriots. So Jags versus the Patriots, who do you think wins?
Again, if I just go by the numbers, I'll take the Patriots to win at home in cold New England with that Florida team coming up here. I'll take the cold, freezing Foxborough Stadium. Hopefully, the weather would be bad for that game too. But I'll take us to win that one. I think it'd be a really close game, but I think our defense is a little
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, and I have a different game. I have Bills and Chargers. And where would that be? That would be played in Buffalo,
Yep.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I got to go with Buffalo.
Actually, nope.
No?
I don't. Well, no, because you have the Texans winning, so the Texans would actually host. The Texans would not. Yeah, the Texans wouldn't even play the Broncos. The Broncos would host the Chargers, and the Texans would host the Bills.
Are you sure that's how they do it?
Yep.
Because they've got the bracket showing that the Broncos play either Steelers or Texans.
It should just go based on seeding only.
I agree with that philosophy, and I was looking into that when I first looked at this, but then I just because that's how they don't do that in the NBA. They just go strictly by they set the bracket up, because I'm always like, well, what if a higher seed wins and a lower seed loses? It should completely scramble, the bracket,
Right.
the
Right.
arrangement, but it didn't, because I'm like, well, that's at a disadvantage, because actually this higher seed gets a more favorable matchup than the number one seed. The number one seed has to play, the fifth seeded team, and then the second seeded team gets to play like the seventh or eighth seeded team, because it was an upset.
Yeah, yeah, they have it like structured much differently in the NBA, but I know for a fact, it's solely based on seeding. So yeah, you would actually have the Broncos hosting the Chargers and the Texans hosting the Bills in this scenario.
Okay. In that case, Bills and Texans, the Bills would host the Texans. I think I've got to go with the Bills. And then for Broncos Chargers, man, Broncos Chargers. I don't really trust either team. There is no clear favorite this year. I am not really there's one thing I'm confident in with this whole playoff bracket. No, two. Make that two. The Rams offense and the Texans defense. That's what. Okay. So I'm gonna go. I think Chargers. I don't know. I just don't trust the Broncos. I don't trust them. I think Herbert is just so good, and Harbaugh's such a great coach. And I know exactly what you're talking about, the offensive line, and that will play a role, but I just think Herbert is just too talented to go without winning a playoff game. I mean, what is he, year 6 now? No playoff wins?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's just as good as Burrow. And Burrow went to a Super Bowl in year 2. I mean, talent-wise. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to just go. I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers over the Broncos. I'm sorry, the Broncos play ugly. I mean, I watched the Giants dominate the Broncos, and the Broncos had to rally back in the last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched the Broncos. It seems every other week they're eking out a victory against an under 500 team.
Washington with Mariota overtime.
I don't get him. Peyton's a great coach. I think Bo Nix has a lot of promise. I like him as a prospect. Just, I don't know. So I'm going to go with Chargers over the Broncos, which would then be Bills hosting the Chargers in the AFC Championship. And I'm going to have to go with the Bills to make the Super Bowl. I had thought there's going to be Bills and Texans meeting in the AFC Championship game, but if you're correct, then they would meet in round 2. I thought they would meet in the AFC Championship game. So I've been looking at the bracket the wrong way. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills. I just think that they've got so much experience, and Josh Allen's got to get it done. There's no Mahomes, there's no Lamar, there's no Joe Burrow. This is his opportunity to sneak in while Bo Nix, while Drake May are still inexperienced in the playoffs, while Herbert is still, I'm sorry, Justin Herbert. Instead of the announcer, Kirk Herbstreit. Justin Herbert is inexperienced as well. Yeah, I'm hoping the Bills, man. I have been watching football since 1983, 1984. The Bills have never won a Super Bowl. They're due. I mean, is that crazy for me to think that? Well, you know what? Let's get to your picks, and then we'll revisit my Bills pick, and if you think that's crazy. So if you had the Texans and the Broncos,
Yes. Yeah.
Who do you think? Who do you pick?
All right. So previously, the Broncos and the Texans, they did play each other in the regular season. Broncos won that one. It was like a field goal kicking contest. I think the Broncos won like 15-12 or something like that. I probably should take the Broncos to win that game, but you know what? I like the Texans here. I think the Texans take it in a low scoring close game, but I like the Texans here.
If the Texans and Broncos do play, I'm going to pick the Texans to beat the Broncos as well. If things don't shape up the way I predict in the first round. Okay, you already have the Patriots over the Jags, which I would agree with that as well. Okay. So then we would have Texans versus the Patriots for the Super Bowl. Who do you have?
To go to the Super Bowl? Okay. Well, the biased person here is going to say the Patriots playing at home, playing in the cold against a Southern Dome team. But if I take all the bias out of it, I think the Texans are built like a Super Bowl team. And if they're able to take out the Broncos and make it to the AFC Championship, I think they are going all the way. If I completely remove all Patriots fan out of me, I think the Texans match up well against stuff because they also have a very good defense, better than ours, and I think they can rip through our O-line and take advantage of that. And maybe that's where Drake May's inexperience catches up with him. I don't know.
Right. I would take the Texans in that matchup, but okay, so you actually are being very unbiased right now.
Man, I'm trying.
I thought you would just say the Patriots.
I don't want to jinx it either, so.
Right. Okay. Let's say the other scenario, like we were talking about. What if the Bills face the Texans? Who do you have?
That's another tricky one because the Texans beat them in the regular season with Davis Mills, actually. But man, that's a tricky one. Well, if I have the Texans beating the Patriots and the Broncos, I got to take them to beat the Bills too. But I feel like if the Bills do beat the Jaguars and they don't run into the Texans, I like the Bills all the way after that.
Can the Bills and Patriots meet? If the Bills beat the Jags and the Patriots beat the Chargers, would they meet? Let me see. That's 3. It's 2 and 6. No,
the only way they can meet is in the AFC Championship, which I really don't want. I don't want to play Josh Allen in the AFC Championship. I'd rather not.
Okay, say AFC Championship, Patriots and Bills. Who do you have?
Man,
I would say the Bills.
I don't even want to say it out loud, but at that point, I feel like
Right.
Josh Allen would have all the momentum there, and he'd just take it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got our AFC rep. I've got the Bills, and you've got the Texans.
Texans, yeah.
Okay. And my second team would be the Texans. So and they're close to being my first right now. It's just that they don't have the experience, and the Bills have so much more experience. Josh Allen needs to get it done. If he doesn't get it done this year, he's got no chance because Bo Nix and Drake May are going to be another year with experience. CJ Stroud's going to be more experienced. Trevor Lawrence is going to be more experienced. Justin Herbert. This is his year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He is so lucky because I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if it's a hot take. I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. I don't care. They had an off year. They had a string of things go bad. But if you know, in the off season, you know, when teams make adjustments, you want to go back for next year. Well, obviously, Mahomes is injured. I'm talking about when Mahomes gets back. So when Kansas City, when Mahomes gets back and Kansas City's reloaded and dumped off the garbage that is Travis Kelce, that dude lost game. Because what people don't realize, the Kansas City Chiefs barely lost. Most of their games are all like one possession. And 3 of those games, Travis Kelce dropped very important passes that potentially lost to them losing the game. In week 1, the Eagles game. No, that was week 2. Week 1 was the Chargers in Brazil, I think.
Yes, it was.
Travis Kelce, they were driving down, and I think they were down 10 with like 5 minutes to go or so. And Patrick Mahomes threw a pass. It was going to be a first down. Then they would have been right at the goal line. They just need to score, make a stop, and get a field goal. No reason to think there's not a very good chance Kansas City does that. Kelce drops the first down. And I think that it's a turnover on downs. The next week, you remember, the Chiefs were driving to take the lead late. The ball goes through Kelce's hands and into a Eagles defender for the game-winning interception. Chiefs are looking at 0-2, which easily could have been 2-0. At least 1-1. They should have won the Eagles game. They could have won the Chargers game. But they definitely, positively should have won that Eagles game had Kelce caught the touchdown like he's supposed to. And there was another game later in the season. I don't recall who it was to. Kelce dropped a very important pass at the end.
Yeah.
3 of those losses could have easily, 2 of those should have been wins. Then not to mention the crazy loss against the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. They should have won that game. So 4 of those losses right there, 3 of those should have been wins. My point is, start the season over, I'm still not taking anybody over the Chiefs. I mean, once Mahomes comes back and they're reloaded, Kelce will be gone. They'll have a nice, young, new tight end because everyone on the Chiefs has good chemistry with Mahomes because Mahomes is that good. So if the Chiefs somehow were in the playoffs right now with Mahomes, I would pick them to run the table. If they were the 7th seed, I'd say they're going to win the wild card on the road, round 2 on the road, round 3 on the road. That's what they did 2 years ago. No, they had the first game. They had the first game at home against Miami in round 1. But then they went on the road to Buffalo, I believe.
Yeah,
beat Buffalo.
And then Baltimore after.
And then Baltimore to AFC Championship. And I put a post on my main channel. I said experience trumps regular season success. I picked KC to beat Baltimore, and I think me and Nick Wright were like the only two people picking KC. Everybody was on Baltimore's bandwagon. Jason Whitlock even said, are you familiar with Jason Whitlock? He's from Kansas City. Big, huge Chiefs fan. He had the Ravens in the middle of the season. He was talking about, oh, this is a historically great Ravens team. I'm like, my eyes don't tell me that. They don't look that good to me. I don't know what I'm missing. And then Kansas City beat them. So I was really glad to see that. And then obviously they won the Super Bowl. So my point is, people may say I'm crazy for picking Kansas City as the best team now, but they all were the same people saying I was crazy for picking Kansas City to beat Baltimore 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game. So no, I'm sorry, I don't care. The Lions are far better than their record as well. The Lions are the best team in that division. But we're getting to the NFC now. Okay. We'll start at the top. Seattle. Would they meet the Rams or would there be someone else? Because according to here, it would be the Rams. The Rams are the 5 seed.
They would play the Packers. The Seahawks would play the Packers in our scenario.
Okay, because we both had the Pack. Okay, Seahawks and Packers. Yeah, I would definitely take the Seahawks.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay. Okay, so we've got that. So that would mean, in my scenario, Rams versus Eagles. That's what I want. I want the Rams to embarrass the Eagles in Philly, which I think they will. I've got the Rams. You have the Rams versus the Niners.
Yeah.
So the Rams would host the Niners.
Yeah. And in that scenario, I have the Rams winning decisively. I don't know if it would be a complete blowout or not. It might be, but I have the Rams winning decisively.
So then we both have the Rams going to Seattle in the NFC Championship. I got the Rams.
I have the Rams winning that game. The last time they played them, I know the Seahawks won, the Rams, whatever, but that was a fluky game. I just don't see any sort of repeat happening in that game whatsoever. I think the Rams win. Could be close. I think the Rams win.
And remember, they were dominating the Seahawks in Seattle without Davante Adams.
Yes.
So he's going to be back in the playoffs. I hope they restrict his minutes in the Carolina game.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that the game doesn't get close. If it gets close, yeah, put him in. But I don't think they even need Davante Adams to beat Carolina. They've got to be on their knees thanking God that they drew Carolina in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather play Carolina than Tampa.
How often do you get to play a team with a losing record in the playoffs?
Not often.
It's a gift.
I'm tired of this BS, man. I'm tired of these weak teams But remember a few years ago, Seattle had a bad record, under 500, and then they upset New Orleans round 1 in the wild card. That was crazy. They beat Drew Brees' Saints. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So my Super Bowl would be Bills and Rams, and yours would be Texans, Rams?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Who do you have, Rams or Texans?
I got the Rams all the way this year. I like how complete their team is, offensively and defensively. They have the experience on the coaching staff. They have the experience with Stafford, and he's having a fantastic season. I like them all the way.
I got to take the Rams over the Bills. I would be pulling for the Bills. I like the Rams. I just want to see Buffalo finally get a Super Bowl. Those fans up there. so much torment in Buffalo. Those fans are so loyal and dedicated.
Oh, yes, they are.
And I don't care what anybody says. The Bills were a dynasty in the first half of the 90s. You have to think that the who was it? The Niners and the Bengals, then the Niners and the Broncos. In 1989, the Broncos played the Niners in the Super Bowl and got blown out. Joe Montana beat John Elway. So in 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993, the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls. This is my point. From 1991 all the way to 1995, you only had one team representing the AFC in a Super Bowl, and that was the Bills. That's crazy. I consider that a dynasty, and they came so close to winning that Super Bowl, the first one. That was an all-time great. You were age -8.
That is correct.
I was in 8th grade.
That was their game against the Giants, right?
Yes, that is one of the all-time. And the reason it's so good, it's not just what it came down to at the end, but both teams played so well. Both teams played like winners. That's when you know a game is good. And that's when you hate to see someone lose. There has to be a winner, there has to be a loser. Then every now and then you have games where both teams played like losers, but somebody had to win. But I enjoy the games where both teams play like winners. And man, oh man, that's one of the all-time great Super Bowls. I wonder what, I did the Super Bowl last time we were on. I wonder if I had to pick in my 40 years, which would be the best Super Bowl game. Brady's comeback against the Falcons is definitely up there. The Brady's win against the Seahawks is up there. Likewise, you have to say the Giants upset and the Patriots. That's up there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was so upset about that. Cowboys, Giants. I'm sorry, Giants, Bills. I mean, that was up there. What were some other really close ones?
Well, just from recent memory, if I exclude all the Patriots Super Bowls, I actually really enjoyed the Chiefs and 49ers Super Bowl that went to overtime a couple of years ago. I really enjoyed the Rams and Bengals Super Bowl a few years ago too. Those are some more recent ones that I enjoyed just as an NFL fan in general.
Have you watched on playback that Giants Bills Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think I'm such a Super Bowl and NFL fanatic. I've watched a playback as much as there is of one of every single official Super Bowl that there has been.
Really?
I think I have it on DVD somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Some of the older ones.
I have some DVDs of games as well that I got a few years back. Yeah, so you know how good that Bills Giants Super Bowl was. Man, what?
Yeah.
So that's just why I want to see the Bills get one. If there's no teams that I feel strongly about in front of them, I'll tell you, and I said this to somebody in 2016. I said, you know what? I didn't actually really start hating the Eagles fan base until recently. I always I actually liked the Eagles with McNabb and Westbrook. Do you remember Brian Westbrook?
Not very well. I remember McNabb a lot more.
He was just basically a running back slash receiver. He was a running back, but they used him like a receiver. And I would always get him in fantasy football because he always had so many catches and he would always run long runs. He was so good. I mean, it's that whole Andy Reid offense. So I used to actually really like the Eagles. And I just remember since I've been watching since I was a kid, I was always like, I've never seen the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I've never seen the Chiefs win a Super Bowl. I've never seen the Vikings win a Super Bowl. I want to see those teams win and the Chargers. The Chargers, Vikings, Eagles, and Chiefs. That year, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And then the next year, the Chiefs went to the AFC Championship game, I think. No. They went the next year, didn't they? Yes, the Chiefs actually won it the next year because the year the Eagles won it is when Mahomes took them to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Patriots, and the Patriots lost to the Eagles.
Yeah.
So the Eagles won the Super Bowl that year, and then the Chiefs won it the next year. So then I'm like, okay, it's time for the Chargers and Vikings, but they haven't got the memo yet. Like the
Actually,
the Bills. The
yeah.
Bills are another team.
Yeah, so the year the Eagles beat us, I think that was actually Mahomes' rookie year where he didn't play very much at all. He played like one game. Alex Smith was QB. So we beat the Jaguars in the AFC Championship, played against the Eagles, who beat the Vikings. Then the Eagles beat us. Following year, we beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Mahomes' first year as a starter. And then the year after that, Chiefs win the Super Bowl against the Niners.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yep.
Okay, I might be getting mixed up because the Patriots beat the Rams
in 53.
In 53.
Yes. And we lost to the Eagles in 52.
Oh, you're talking about the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking year. I'm like,
yeah. Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't remember the Super Bowl numbers that well. It was okay. So Eagles. Okay. Then the Patriots beat the Rams. Then the Chiefs beat the Niners.
Yep. With Jimmy Garoppolo. Yep.
Okay. You know why? Remember how Tom Brady wanted to get rid of Garoppolo?
Yeah.
He went to Robert Kraft. He's like, damn it, no one in that locker room is going to be more handsome than me. Get Garoppolo out of here.
The Italian stallion. That's right.
I think that's why Brady wanted to give. He's like, he's got more women looking at him than me in the stands.
And Belichick, too. Belichick would have started Garoppolo if Kraft let him. He would have.
He liked Garoppolo. I still think Garoppolo had potential to do more than he did. I mean, he did get the Niners. He's got a bad rap, but he's kind of hard to gauge overall. He definitely he had a lot of good and a lot of bad. But I mean, he got the Niners to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. From what I've seen, he had some untimely interceptions in his career. I always liked him more than most people did. From what I heard from interviews from actual NFL players that played with him, like his teammates, there were some that said he was more on the soft side and he wouldn't suit up like when he had some minor injuries, like some of the other quarterbacks would push through when it was an important game. They said Garoppolo would take the easy path and go party with his money after instead.
They said he used to go party.
He would, yeah, if he like sat out for an injury, like he wasn't going crazy at the club, but he'd go out on the yacht and after losing a big game or if he didn't play, he would just kind of he just lived a different kind of lifestyle. Like when it was the NFL season, you had certain players and quarterbacks, they were in the trenches. It didn't matter how many millions they were making. They were going to play unless they were dead. And he just wasn't that kind of player. He was kind of go with the flow.
Okay.
I don't think he had as much of a killer instinct in him.
Okay. Yeah, I know that he definitely threw some interceptions late in games at times. But there was another point I was driving about. I don't know. I'm kind of my thoughts are all over the place right now. Yeah, see, it's kind of hard to pick the second and third and Super Bowl winner when we don't know yet who's going to win and where the seedings are going to fall. It would be easier if it was a straight tournament. I do think it's better though to do it this way, because sometimes, what about what about the Spurs in, I think it's 2005 or 7, one of those seasons, where the 2007, the Mavericks were the number 1 seed and they lost in the first round to the Warriors. So the Spurs got to play the Warriors, number 8 seed, instead of the number 1 seed Mavericks. And they beat the Warriors pretty easy. I think they beat them in like 5. And then they played the Jazz. Talk about the easiest championship. They played the Warriors, who are the 8 seed. Then they played I want to say a 5 seed Jazz. And then they played LeBron, young LeBron, in the 07 finals. And they swept them. And I think they won the other series in 5. Such an easy playoff run for the Spurs there.
Yeah, I like how the NFL rewards the teams with better records, but I do think they should go through with the proposal from a lot of the owners where, sure, if you win your division, you make the playoffs, but seeding should solely be based on record. And I'm okay with that. I think if you're 8 and 9, you probably shouldn't be having the opportunity to host a bunch of playoff games. Give it to a team that's 11 and 5 and a wild card team. Like, you're lucky just to have made the playoffs if you're 8 and 9, honestly.
I agree with part of that. Say a division winner is 11 and 6, but then another wild card team is 12 and 5. I think the division winner should have. That rule should only apply if you're under 5. If you're at 5, if you're under 500, 8 and 9, you can't host. But if they're 10 and 7 and the other one's 11 and 6, I think they won their division, so they should be able to host.
I would be okay with that kind of compromise. Even something like that would be fine.
Yeah, but 8 and 9 is just. Carolina is not a good team.
Not at all.
Watch Carolina win.
The year it's been, they would, but they're just not a good team. Even when they had the chance to wrap up the division the last week of the season, they lost to the Buccaneers.
Right.
It was only because the Falcons won their game that they even made the playoffs.
Right. They shouldn't have. The first 6 weeks, you thought the Panthers may get the number 1 pick in the next draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up somehow going on a winning streak. I don't know exactly what changed. Have you watched much of Bryce?
He's so inconsistent. And they've had a lot of lucky games too.
Right.
Like the games that they win, their defense has a fumble return for a touchdown or a punt return for a touchdown. And then Bryce will have a decent game. He'll throw 250, maybe a touchdown or 2, no interceptions. And then in the next game, he'll throw 92 yards, 3 interceptions, and a fumble. They're just all so up and down. But the Buccaneers went on an 8-game losing streak. So that's how they were just barely able to eke them out at the end.
Them and the Colts, man.
Yeah.
Talk about a choke job. But the Colts had an excuse. the Bucks don't have an excuse, do they?
No, because you could say injuries, but everybody's injured this time of year for the most part. I mean, Baker was still playing. You don't have that much of an excuse. The Colts lost their starting quarterback. I still personally think they would have missed the playoffs because I think they had such a tough schedule to finish the year. I still think they would have lost enough games to miss the playoffs, but maybe not.
Yeah, I wasn't really buying into them when they were doing so well at the beginning of the year. Honestly, I wasn't buying into the Colts either. But I do think the Colts would have easily gotten the playoffs had Daniel Jones not gone down. But the Bucks, I just thought, yeah, they'll win that. They're going to run away with that weak division. And now what do you think about the Falcons? They look pretty good when they started Kirk Cousins. I don't know
Yeah.
why they rushed Penix because Kirk Cousins was still a very good quarterback.
Well, I know why. Because they benched Kirk so fast last year, and it would just make them look foolish. And I know this is what their thinking was. Of course, now they don't even have a head coach anymore. But their thinking was, we benched Kirk, we put all this belief in Penix, and if we keep Penix on the bench, whatever, keep Kirk out there, it's going to make them look bad. They paid Kirk all the money, and then they had to eat that too. It's just, they just didn't really handle that whole situation well to begin with. And yeah, the Falcons are one of those teams I would, if I were a head coach, I'd love to gravitate towards them because they have a very solid roster. Their defense should have been much better this year. They have one of the best running backs in the league, one of the best wide receivers in the league. I'm not a big Penix fan. And I know Kirk isn't in the prime of his career, but they have some interesting decisions to make.
Yep. So obviously the Lions took a big step back. I think losing the coordinators, I wouldn't count them out. Here's the thing: you can be a good team, and you can have an off year when you are making adjustments. And obviously, Ben Johnson's absence has hurt that coaching staff, and they need to find a way to adjust to a new coordinator. I think they can be back. I think they can learn from this year. I think they can be back next year. I still think they're the best team in that division.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't expect them to take as much of a step back as they did this year.
Right.
As healthy as they were, because last year they were upset big time by Washington. Didn't really expect that to happen, but I also wasn't super confident in them making the Super Bowl because of how injured they were. They were like worse than worse than the 49ers are this year with injuries. So that wasn't necessarily as shocking. This year they were pretty healthy, so I was surprised, but I also think that they have all the pieces to be competing for a top spot next year in the NFC as long as everyone can remain healthy and they can find the right coordinators. I like them a lot still.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Green Bay is right there. It seems like almost all the teams are inconsistent. It's so odd because typically, you've got like a handful of teams that really stand out and separate from the rest of the pack. We don't really have that this year with the Chiefs, Ravens, and Lions not making the playoffs because those looked to be three of the top teams. And the Bills were in that pack. And obviously, they had a disappointing year, but they still survived making the playoffs, unlike the others. But those were 4 Super Bowl favorites this year, and 3 of them didn't even make the playoffs. And I still think those teams are better than these, with the exceptions of like the Rams and maybe the Texans. The Niners. The Niners are good, but I still think that they're a piece away. There's something that's not quite clicking. And I have to give credit to the Eagles. I think they have the best overall roster in the whole NFL. I just think that they're not clicking either. They're inconsistent. And I'm glad they're not doing well. I hope that they fall on their face, but they're really good roster wise.
Yeah, I had a lot of predictions this year, and none of them really came true for the most part. I actually had the Packers as being like I had the Lions winning the division, but I had the Packers like one game behind them. I had the Lions like 14 wins and the Packers like 12 or 13 wins. And then 'cause I thought their defense was going to be a lot better, and I thought their offense would be a lot more consistent. And then I also had I actually had the Chargers winning their not winning the division, but I had them same scenario like Chiefs one game ahead of them, and I had the Chargers like wild card, but like one game behind them in the record. Of course, I didn't know they were going to have so many injuries either, but I don't know. It's just such an unpredictable year. I really have no idea what to expect. And I'm one of those people. Anytime Mahomes is in a game, I bet on him. Like I never would bet against Brady. I never bet against Mahomes. A couple years ago, I made a lot on DraftKings that postseason when he played in Buffalo and Baltimore because not only were people picking against the Chiefs, but he was also the Vegas underdog. So I was literally just like putting chunks of money on the Chiefs to win money line, and then I threw a couple other props in there, and I was winning like hundreds of dollars. And then same thing in the Super Bowl that year too.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't understand why people keep picking against the Chiefs. Yeah, the wheels fell off this season. A lot of people are saying a dynasty's over. I don't think it's over. They just need to reload. Assuming that Patrick can come back healthy in 2027. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. You know, who knows with the way that doctors are this time and place in history. Who knows? You have Tatum who is looking really good after an Achilles injury. I know it's a different injury, different sport, but Mahomes is still at that age where the surgery went really well and they think it did and he's able to rehab really well with as competitive as he is. Now, I don't know, maybe you don't want to rush him back though, depending on who they're facing the first couple weeks, but yeah, their season will depend on how much time he misses to start the season, if any.
If anybody's watching, if anyone has any questions or anything, let us know now because we're gonna wrap up here. So, man, what do you think about Harbaugh leaving Baltimore? I think that's crazy. I think that was dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually, if a team fires a coach, they have someone in mind. If it's a coach
Mhm.
who's been around for that long, I have no idea who the Ravens might possibly have in mind. I don't know. I think whoever gets Harbaugh is going to be a lot better next year. If I were him too, I would also maybe be interested in the Giants roster too. I'm not 100% on Dart yet, but as far as the roster goes, that defense could have been a lot better than it was, and they have sufficient running back room, and I love Malik Neighbors. I'm a huge Malik Neighbors fan. After he recovers from his ACL, I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, I think Harbaugh may go to the Giants. I think that's some people are saying he might take the year off. I think the Giants are a good fit for him. I would like him on the Cowboys, but Jerry's not gonna pay for anybody.
No.
I saw a quote where Jerry Jones says that he wants to retire the most Super Bowls. Okay, but Jerry, you have done nothing but run that Cowboys team into the ground. See, this would have been a year the Cowboys could have made a run if they were well coached and not even well coached. I actually don't think Schottenheimer is bad. I think he's a decent coach. The problem is Jerry Jones, the GM. Here's the problem, and it started years ago. Dallas had like the most well-balanced roster in the entire league from offense and defense back in like 2016, 2017. I'm not saying they were the best team overall, but they were like so well balanced at they were good in every position.
100%. Yeah.
And they got Amari Cooper, and as soon as they got him, the offense just clicked. And you trade Amari Cooper for nothing, and their offense has not recovered. And I'm like, CeCe is a great 2. He's not ready to be a number 1. I still don't think CeCe's a good number 1. I think Pickens is better than CeeDee Lamb. And he's inconsistent. He's got a head case. He's got like mental issues. He's like mentally ill. But George Pickens is George Pickens stayed in Pittsburgh and they got Metcalf with Pickens? And if Pickens had like a better attitude, I mean, that's why they dumped him, because of his attitude. But talent-wise, I think he's more talented than CeeDee Lamb. I like CeeDee Lamb, but he's not a number 1. And Jerry Jones' problem, he's paying Dak Prescott like he's Patrick Mahomes, and he's paying CeeDee Lamb like he's Justin Jefferson. Those are the Mahomes, Jefferson, those are the guys that should get max contracts at their position, not Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. You know, talk is cheap. You remember the game against the Eagles week 1 where the Cowboys lost at a long rain delay and the Cowboys barely lost to the Eagles week 1? And CeeDee Lamb had like 2 to 3 really important drops.
Yeah.
He just talk is cheap. He's talking about their game. Man, I hate the way this feels. It's not going to happen no more. I'll tell you that. Ain't gonna. Then what did he do? Throughout the season, he kept dropping important passes. And this guy's getting the max contract. This is who Jerry Jones is paying max money to. And you didn't want to pay max money to Micah? See, if Jerry Jones should have handled everybody the way he handled Micah. I'd have no problem. Micah wanted him. I didn't really want Micah to get a max contract because I just don't think he contributes enough to winning games. Case in point, look what happened when they played Green Bay 2 years before that. Green Bay put up 48 points. If Micah Parsons is so damn good, why did he allow them 48 points? That was on the defense. That's on him. So, but the point is, if Jerry Jones is going to pay his players top money, then out of Dak, CeeDee, or Micah would have been the one to pay the max to, not Dak and not CeeDee. We could get another quarterback. We could get a quarterback better than Dak, or at least as good, for like $20 million a year, like 3 times less. We got George Pickens for cheap, but I actually don't hate what Jerry did. He got Kenny Walker, who is that his name? Is it Kenny Walker?
On defense, you're talking about?
The guy he got traded for Micah Parsons, who is a very good defender. He's nothing close to Micah, but he's good, and he's cheaper, and we got some draft picks. I like that Dallas, the one thing they do is they draft very well. They just don't sign. Jerry Jones he puts so many barriers in between the team fluidity and continued success. He's a horrible general manager. He needs to stay out of the way. But if you're going to give Dak and CeeDee max contracts, then you should have also given Micah a max contract. But honestly, I think if you could trade all 3 of them and get a package of draft picks, I would have done that. I think we can win with Dak, but he's a good bargain at like $25 million a year. That's where he should be at. That's what he's earned. How many playoff wins does he have? Like, I know he beat Tampa in round 1. He might have won another game in round 1. But then he lost to the Niners, I think twice. He lost to the Packers.
Yep.
The dude is not a playoff performer. So why is he getting Patrick Mahomes money? You see what I'm getting at? The only quarterback in the league who's earned $60 million a year is Mahomes. You know why I like tennis? Because they get paid per match they win in the tournaments. I mean, and don't you think that drives them? If you have incentive to earn more money through winning, don't you think it's going to make you play harder than somebody who's, like you said, Jimmy Garoppolo playing around on his yacht? Because he's already got his paycheck. I don't think these guys should be getting paid in advance because they get complacent and lazy. In tennis, you don't see that. Are you familiar with tennis at all?
No, that's interesting. I actually did not know that at all.
I just got into it earlier in the year. I love the culture. The players all seem humble, respectful. They're not showboating and dancing around and acting all pretentious, and they seem humble. And they get paid per match that they win in the tournament. The further they go in a tournament, the more money they get. And then when they win the championship, they get a big payday. Doesn't that seem like the right incentive rather than just saying, hey, I'll give you $300 million for 5 years? What do you think that's going to do? That's going to kill their competitiveness. Because they're just going to be like, I'm surrounded with more money that I know what to do with.
Dolphins did the same thing with Tua. A huge contract, mostly guaranteed money, and now they're screwed. And now they can't even rebuild, even if they do get rid of him. They have no cap space. They don't really have a lot of great draft picks coming up. Like, they have a lot of stuff to figure out, and they're screwed.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. How about this? The team you get drafted by, you get paid at the end of the year for your performance. Now, if you have a season-ending injury, you get compensated for that. I'm not saying, well, you don't get paid at all. No, of course. Everyone needs to get a base minimum. And then the better you perform, the more you get paid. And you can't leave your team, no contracts. You get paid at the end of every year. So that's going to keep guys hungry. And you don't leave the team unless there's a reason. Like if you have an appeal and if you do, it's got to be at the end of the year. Maybe there can be something similar to a transfer portal, like in college or something or other. There are too many teams jumping ship. That's why what I was talking about, why there's so much inconsistent play. Because there's no fluidity and consistency in the structuring of the organizations. Right?
You do see that quite a bit. And that's actually one thing the Patriots did a good job with this year. A lot of these players we brought in, including like Stephon Diggs, who has more money than he knows what to do with from some of his previous teams and previous contracts. We gave him a heavily incentivized contract that he was able to cash in on in weeks 17 and 18 based on performance, but a lot of it was incentives. And it wasn't a huge contract.
Yeah, I think that's what you should do, and players are going to play.
I think it's a 1 year or 2 year deal, mostly incentives.
Yeah, he's done really well this year, hasn't he?
He's done pretty well, and honestly, nobody really expected us to be this good. So when you have a player who has had elite or very high status coming to a team that's coming off of a 3-14 record, I think it's a good idea to put incentives in their contract, because what's to keep them from just bouncing if the team starts off 0-5? And also, if you do want to turn the page and turn into a good team, you need everybody on board playing at their highest level to flip that script around. So I think more teams should do that with free agents that they bring in.
Yeah. I imagine if it was a rarity for a player to switch teams. I just think the league would be so much better. And you have a chance to build. Maybe there's like a minimum, like you got to be with your team for at least say like 5 seasons before you're eligible to inquire about going somewhere else. Maybe you present a case. Hey, kind of like when Chris Bosh left the Raptors, totally understandable. 1 playoff appearance and a first round exit. I think they lost like 4-1. So I want to say Chris Bosh in 7 seasons with the Raptors had 1 playoff series and, lost all but 1 game of the series. I can understand a player like that. A player that's just stuck on a team with crappy management, I get that. So I do think the players need to have some rights, of course, but things are way out of it. It's always out of balance. Before it was out of balance in favor of the owners. Now it's out of balance in favor of the players. There needs to be some middle ground. They need to really balance it out, So, do you have any final thoughts, predictions, or anything?
No, but I do think that we kind of said it already, but I'll reiterate it one more time. Out of all the years I've been alive, whether it was when Brady and Manning were in the playoffs, or more recently with Mahomes, and you could even say Stafford the last couple of years, there have always been 1 or 2 teams where you say, "Hey, you almost can guarantee that they're going to be in the conference championships, and you can be pretty confident that one of those teams will be in the Super Bowl." This year, not only do we have really no idea who's going to make it, but also I really think a lot of what happens will be based on matchups, because I think certain teams just match up better against other teams, and since it is different than the NBA and the bracket is subject to change, I think a lot of what happens will factor on whether certain teams match up against other teams and who wins in the first round. Like, I think the first round is really important to the second round, because it's going to completely change the matchups here. Now, I still like, I feel pretty good about the Rams making it to the Super Bowl if I had to really put my money all on one team. But I think if we see some upsets happen, or let's just say the Chargers and the Bills and the Texans all win their away games in the first round, that's just going to completely change. I think it's going to change the outcomes of all the games to follow. So I don't know.
I have never seen a crop of such weak division winners. I don't think any of these division winners are good hardly, except I mean the Eagles, but they're very inconsistent. I think the Rams are better than the Seahawks. I think the Lions are better than the Bears. When the Packers first got Micah, I actually thought, okay, I think they have a really good chance to get to the Super Bowl. But Micah got hurt halfway through the year. See, that was another reason that I think Jerry Jones is apprehensive. Micah is injury prone.
Yeah,
So
I don't really hate what the Cowboys did with him. He's not. I don't know his exact age, but I'm okay with what the Cowboys did in that scenario. But I just don't think. I think it's at the point where, like, the players are going to play for themselves and they're going to want to win. But at some point in the back of all their minds, I really don't think they like Jerry, and I don't really think they want to play for him or win for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. Yeah, and the Bills, I think I still think they're better than the Patriots. I know the Patriots had a better record, but I'm sorry. I just think the Bills are still better. The Patriots did beat them. Did the Patriots beat them both times or just one time?
No, we beat them in Buffalo, and then we manhandled them for like 3 quarters the second time. We were actually up 21-0. We had no business blowing that lead. And then we just fell apart, and the Bills beat us by like 3 points that game.
Okay. Talk about blowing a lead. How the heck did the Patriots lose to the Raiders week 1? They would have the number 1 seed right now.
Yeah, and I was at that game too.
Yeah.
You know what though? I really think it was just a lot of like it was rust from not playing the entire offseason. It was a brand new coaching staff working out the kinks with these players. And it was a lot of chemistry too. Like a lot of these guys not playing together for the first time. So I just think it was really like a chemistry thing. A lot of new pieces to the puzzle.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was a sloppy game. It was rainy. Neither
Yeah.
team played well that game. It was low scoring. It was just an ugly game.
Okay. Yeah, and the Patriots were up and they blew it in the fourth quarter, right?
Oh no, they were up at halftime by like a couple points, and then the O line though was really what did it. Like May got sacked like 6 times. It felt like it was just the O line fell apart the entire second half. Max Crosby was chasing him around. The Raiders defense really won that game. And Gino actually played pretty well that game. It was the only game this year he really played well. But Gino threw for like 300 yards. He played like he was playing on the Seahawks the year before.
Yeah.
He was playing pretty well.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he was slated as a bust, and then later on, he salvaged his career and had a couple of decent seasons. So, props for that. But at the end of the day, he's just not like he's probably better suited to be a backup.
Yeah, he doesn't have the it factor, unfortunately. And I know the Raiders aren't the best team in the world, but they also had some pieces this year with Genty and Bowers, and like they had some pieces. They're not a great team, but they should have performed better than they did. Now I do have one fun fact also to close out this live stream. It's a
Yeah.
Patriots fact here. Out of all the teams in the NFC, the Patriots have actually played every single one of those teams in a previous Super Bowl, except for who was it? The 49ers. The 49ers are the only NFC team in that bracket that we have never played in the Super Bowl. We played the Rams twice. We played the Eagles twice. We played the Bears back in the day. We played the Packers in '96. And we played the Panthers in the early 2000s with Brady. And we played the Seahawks in Super Bowl
Yeah.
49.
Yeah, just not the Bears or the Niners.
The Bears beat us. Remember?
Oh, and the 80s. I was thinking they're in Tom Brady era. Right.
No. Nope.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. 46-10. Right.
Yeah, they killed us.
Yeah. I was in elementary school. Yeah, I remember I was bored. Yeah, they upset the Raiders because the Raiders won the Super Bowl like 2 years before that, and they had Marcus Allen.
And I think the Packers beat us in, I think it was '96. The Packers beat us.
Yeah, I lived in Miami. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. I was going for Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember that one. And the Niners, it seems like they should have played. It seems like they should have played the Niners. Okay, so we don't have many people in the chat, but we have a few. Is there anyone else that wants to ask anything before we sign off here? So far, I've only had one. I don't think this person is even in here anymore, but which team you want to win and the team you want to lose. Well, my Cowboys are not in it. They're not close to it. So the team, if I could pick any team to win this year, I think I'd pick the Bills. because I just want to see them win. And a team that I want to lose, the Eagles. Yeah. So there you go. What about you, Jacob? Obviously Patriots to win and Eagles to lose.
Yeah, Eagles to lose, Patriots to win. But if they want a non-biased answer, I'll give them one of those two. As much of a sore loser as I am, if the Chargers beat the Patriots, I'll actually cheer for them to win the Super Bowl because I really do like the entire roster and coaching staff. I like them a lot, so I like to see that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have forgiven teams if they beat my team, if they beat them fair and if they're not like arrogant about it or whatever. Like when the Clippers beat my Spurs in 2015, I was going for the Clippers in the next round. So yeah. So if the Patriots, if you can't pick the Patriots and you could pick one other team, who would it be? Would it be the Chargers overall? If you could pick one team to win it.
Yeah.
Not who you think, but who you want, like in your heart.
Yeah, I think it would probably be the Chargers. Like there are a lot of teams I wouldn't be mad about. I would feel good for all the Bills fans even though they're division rivals, I'd be happy. I have a lot of friends that are Bills fans, of course, up here, so I'd be happy for the Bills fans. I would love to see the Rams win too if the Chargers don't make it and the Rams do. I like Stafford a lot. I like their coaching staff. I'd be more than happy to see Stafford win another one. I got nothing against that.
Yeah. I was about to say. Yeah, I would like the Bills, but I also want to see the Chargers get one. I want to see Bills or Chargers. I just always have liked the Chargers for some reason.
Me too. Me too. I really don't want to see the Eagles, the Bears, or the Steelers. Those are the three teams I will cheer against 100%.
Who's okay? Which teams do you hate in the NFL?
In the entire NFL,
Yeah.
I hate the Giants just because of previous reasons. But if we're just talking about like fan bases and teams I hate in general, I really do hate Philly. Part of the reason is probably because I've been in Philly many times, and that just makes it even worse. I don't know if you've ever been to Philly. I just hate Philly. That fan base and city is it's garbage. It's hot garbage. And I have a lot of friends that are Philly fans too. But that when they win, they burn their city down. When they lose, they burn the city down. It's a bunch of crackheads out there. I don't like Philly. I hate Philly.
Right. Any other teams?
I don't know. I would say the Jets, but I don't really hate them. I just feel sorry for them. It's just depressing. It's not even a rivalry with them. So I don't know. Giants and Eagles, and both teams have beaten us in Super Bowls, so that doesn't help either. There really aren't a lot of other teams that I just despise. We were so good for so long. There's not a lot of like bad blood on our side. I know a lot of people hate the Patriots, but on our side of it, Colts. I don't. You know what? I don't like the Colts either. Not the team, but the fan base. That Colts fan base, they're a bunch of whiny babies. They're soft. I do not like the Colts fan base.
Yeah, the other team I don't like. I mean, they're okay now, but that's the Miami Dolphins. And you know why? Because they always brag about saying they're the greatest team of all time, the 72 team that went undefeated. I'm like, no, that is not the greatest team of all time in the NFL. They only had 14 games in the regular season. So with their Super Bowl win, they won 17 games, right? They won 14 regular season, and then the second conference championship and Super Bowl, 17-0. A slew of those games were so close. Like they were like by a field goal. Like they barely won. And I give them credit. If they want to say, hey, it's a cool fun fact. We're actually the only team to go undefeated. Cool. I have no problem with that. But they do, you see them, Mercury Morris and those guys pouring out the champagne. every year when the last team that's undefeated loses.
Yes.
They always say, whenever I would say that was annoying, Miami fans would say, yeah, but the thing is, Gary, that record, is unbeatable. No one's ever going to go undefeated. And I'm like, you can't say that. You can say, it'll be hard for someone to go undefeated, but you can't definitively say that, hey, no one will ever go undefeated again. You don't know that. And then the Patriots were so close. They went 16-0. Then they won their 17th game. The AFC Championship were their 18th win. They were 18-0 going into the Super Bowl. So how can you tell me that a team that's 18-0 is not better than another team 17-0? So then the Patriots lost in the Super Bowl. What's their final record? 18-1. How can you tell me that a team is 18-1 isn't better than a team that's 17-0? Because had the Dolphins had to play a 16-game schedule, maybe they lose one of those games like the Chicago Bears did in 1985. That may have been the best team I've ever seen. That team annihilated everyone in their way. And then on Monday Night Football, Dan Marino and the Dolphins upset the 12-0 Bears. And I was so annoyed because I was hoping maybe the Bears would go undefeated. But anyways, my point is, in 1972, had the Dolphins played a 16-game schedule, maybe they would have lost the game and finished 15-1. I think the 49ers also did that in the 80s. I think they only had one loss the entire year, just like the Bears did in 85. My point is, you can't just say that Dolphins team is the greatest of all time just because they're the only one to go undefeated. You see the difference? That doesn't necessarily mean you're better. That Bears team, I even say the 2001 Ravens team may have been better than that Dolphins team. The 2006, 2007 Patriots team for sure, I think was better than that Dolphins team. And a handful of other teams are right there. I would put the Dolphins in the top tier. If you want to have a tier of the greatest teams in the NFL, I put the Dolphins in that tier. But they're not head and shoulders above other teams. And that's why they're so frustrating and why I had a grudge against the Dolphins for so long. Just because those fans annoyed me a lot like, Eagles fans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we got another quick comment about NBA here. Don't think the Spurs are going far this postseason because of playoff experience, but they should be legit. Don't even get me started on my Spurs. Have you been keeping up with NBA?
A lot more the past couple weeks. I started off the season not even paying attention to it for two reasons. One, I was so caught off guard by the Patriots winning that I put all my attention in the NFL. And two, I really thought with Tatum being out that we were just going to kind of coast the next few months. But Jaylen Brown has been, I've loved watching him play. The whole team, Pritchard, Derek White. So I started watching that. And then I was watching the Thunder a little bit. Even though I don't love the Thunder, but I've been watching some of their games and the Spurs.
Let me fix a problem real quick. And I don't know what this is. Common sense. I don't have a high IQ. I'm not an intellectual, but I have a very simple common sense fix. You just said you didn't even watch NBA until a couple weeks ago. Well, you know why? Because it's NFL season. This is what we need to do. Start the NFL season 1 week shorter. First week of September instead of second week of September. Let it run. Let the regular season end on New Year's, around New Year's. Then January, February, you had the playoffs. and it'll wrap up like the first week of February instead of the second week of February. The Super Bowl will be played first week of February. January 1st, New Year's, kicks off the NBA. We don't need NBA in November and December. We've got the NFL. We don't need both. It's too much. It's an overload.
Yep.
Think about this. So then the NBA runs from New Year's, January 1st, and then the NBA finals conclude the end of August, right as we transition into NFL. Wouldn't that be perfect?
That would be perfect because I don't really want to be stuck with baseball the entire summer and have nothing else to watch.
Because baseball's so redundant baseball ramps up in August. You would have that competing because the baseball gets really good in August. And the playoffs in baseball are excellent. But NBA playoffs can compete with that. You're still going to watch the NBA. But in June, we're so bored. It's like all we get is the middle of a boring baseball season, and we get no action with NBA or NFL.
Right. And for the hockey fans that are out there, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but hockey playoffs are a little before NBA. Sometimes they're very similar, but May, sometimes early June, usually though it's the month of May, late April, and then you're stuck without that either during the summer.
Right. Yeah, they need to space that out better as well. There's just things that just don't make sense. Another thing in the NFL, I think what they should do, I love 18-week season, but here's what they should do. Every team should get 2 bye weeks. You start the week a week sooner in September. Every team gets 2 bye weeks throughout the season. And what you do is you give a team a bye week, and then they play the Thursday night game. None of this BS about playing on Sunday and then playing Thursday. You should only play Thursday night games after a bye week. Right? Wouldn't that make sense?
I could definitely see that working. And then they could also, another thing to consider too with the whole season format, the Pro Bowl is not even the Pro Bowl anyway. So they might as well just completely get rid of that.
You could just say, hey, this is going to make the awards without having to play anything. You just give them the awards for best, statistical performance through the year, right? Yeah, I just have so many ideas to improve the NFL and NBA. And of course, I'm a nobody, so no one's going to listen to me. But I think most fans will probably agree with me. NBA should start on New Year's and conclude around the end of August. And football should start a week earlier. Let the season run September until New Year's Eve. Playoffs in January, Super Bowl in February. And then after the Super Bowl, now the rust is worn off the NBA guys. Now, they're in like games 10 and 12, and they're kicking into high gear. Because I'm sorry, the NBA is so boring in November. Like, I just don't care. But aside from this comment, I'm so frustrated because the Spurs play Wembanyama. They put him on a minutes restriction. The Spurs are so damn inconsistent. It is so frustrating. I love De'Aaron Fox as a talent, but I'm sorry, he's a shoot first point guard. That doesn't work. Your point guard's job is to elevate the team, the players on the court. It's not for you to run around and put up a bunch of shots. The last 2 games, De'Aaron Fox was 4 of 18. And then he was 5 of 14 the next game. He's not even a high percentage shooter. So he needs to focus on elevating his teammates. That needs to be his job. And then he's supposed to be there to play with Wemby, but Wemby does not even play half the games. Wemby plays 20 to 21 minutes. Look at his box scores. You'll see he's played 20 to 21 minutes, not even half the game. The dude just damn turned 22 years old this week. They're playing him. They're playing Wemby the same way they played Duncan in his mid-30s. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, this kid is 20, 21, just turned 22. Let him play. So I don't think they're cohesive enough for the playoffs. And I know that they looked good against the Thunder, and that's awesome. And I believe they play in 5 days. I believe they play January 13th, if I'm not mistaken. But there's just no consistency for the Spurs. So, yes, I don't expect them. I don't have expectations for them to do well in the playoffs. They probably will lose round 1. At the furthest they'll go is round 2. Because there's no fluidity. Because De'Aaron Fox is a shoot-first point guard. And that does not result in wins in the playoffs. You're not going to win playoff basketball with a shoot-first point guard. Not unless he's like some superstar. And De'Aaron Fox is an all-star, but he's not a superstar. John Stockton wasn't running around shooting first. Russell Westbrook was. And we see what happened with Westbrook. But, yeah, on that note, I'm ready to wrap up. You have anything else to say?
Sounds good to me. You're definitely more of an expert in that field when it comes to the Spurs, so I have nothing to add.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll probably try to do another live stream later in the season and maybe talk more about Celtics Spurs at that point. We'll see. All right. Well, it looks like we got 3 people watching and no one else put any other questions. So thanks for watching.
Sounds good.
See you guys later. Thanks, Jacob, for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.